Welcome to School-Wide Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports module on family engagement. I'm Marcy Handler,
And I'm Christine Downs.
and this module is brought to you from the NEPBIS.org and National Technical Assistance Center on PBIS.
At its core, family engagement involves families and educators coordinating and collaborating to support children. The focus is on coordinating goals and activities across home and school. Collaboration includes families and educators making decisions together and working as partners. Family engagement is also embedded in cultural beliefs and ideologies. Families have different beliefs about education and their role in supporting their child. Part of working together as partners is clearly defining role expectations in a manner that is congruent with family culture and expectations. Family engagement is active, interactive, and dynamic. When families are engaged as partners, there's an expectation that family members and educators are active in making plans, setting goals, and carrying out activities to address those goals. It is interactive, and collaboration involves working together as a team rather than in isolation. Family engagement changes over time, as we know. Evidence indicates that family engagement is important for children, families, and schools in early childhood, elementary school, middle school, and even throughout high school. However, the nature of that collaboration changes. For example, as children transition to middle school, families may provide less direct support for homework, but rather will establish systems that support their child to self-monitor during homework time with check-ins, acknowledgement, and such.
Decades of research support the positive associations between family engagement and outcomes for students, parents, and teachers. School-wide family engagement is positively associated with student achievement, school attendance, and peer group affiliations. It's negatively associated with school dropout and behavioral problems. Parents and teachers also benefit from working together. Parents report improvements in their efficacy to help their children with schoolwork and their trusted teachers. Teachers report improved job satisfaction and tend to request fewer transfers. When parents and teachers collaborate to support children's behavior improves, parents and teachers report improvements in their problem-solving skills, and the relationship between parents and teachers also improves.
Research suggests support for families in 4 key areas. One of the first things to focus on is creating support for family engagement at the district and school level. It's important to clarify the district's approach to family engagement with role definitions for schools and families. In addition, evidence indicates families typically wait for schools to contact them about working together. So it's important for schools to reach out proactively to families to initiate a collaborative relationship. Such an approach is also an opportunity to establish communication pathways. Common approaches to communication include sending material or notices home to families via the student or other means, and establish communication systems that support multi-directional communication that can initiate from families or from schools and flow easily back and forth. We know that families differ with regard to their beliefs about education. So family engagement systems should support activities and practices that provide a range of opportunities and experiences for families to collaborate. Logistically, this can include holding school events at community centers that might be easier for families to attend. It also means holding events at different times of the day or more than once throughout the month. Although such approaches require an investment in educator time, they reflect a commitment to working with all families in the school community. Finally, although collaborating with families is often viewed as something extra or an add-on that requires an investment in resources, the most efficient and effective support for students is their family. By coordinating home and school supports, we can actually positively influence child development and promote academic, behavior, and life success.
There are several research-informed approaches to engage families in PBIS. These approaches emphasize engaging families in PBIS at school, extending the core features of PBIS to the home setting, and coordinating support across home and school. If you'd like to learn more after this session, you can download an ebook called Aligning and Integrating Family Engagement in Positive Behavioral Interventions and Supports from the PBIS.org website. The Family School Practices Survey was also designed for school teams to use as a self-assessment and action planning tool. This tool allows teams to rate their level of implementation of various school approaches to engaging families in PBIS. The dimensions include communication, family school activities, PBIS practices at home and school, decision-making or shared ownership, and resources that are available to support family engagement. Take a few minutes to complete the survey. Identify areas of strength and need, and complete the action plan at the end of the tool to target those areas. Be sure to enter your email address at the beginning of the survey so that your responses can be emailed back to you.
So Marcy, I think we wanted to share a few examples of those 5 different dimensions. And I have one about communication. Our school, my home school district, which is a PBIS school district, created a survey at the beginning of the year that was sent out to all the families with all the back to school materials. So it got filled out along with the bus form and everything else. And it asked parents how they wanted to be contacted, what form, whether it be email, phone, text, things like that. And then what was their availability to be engaged and support school activities? So we could say, I'm available to be a room parent, or I can come in anytime. Or for me, it was I could come in with advance notice or help out a field trip as long as I had advance notice to take off from work. For others, it was they would be happy to send in items or supplies or baked goods for sales. And then it even went down to, I can't really be an active participant, but I'm happy to spread the word. So there was lots of different ways to communicate. And I even have a few schools that use Classroom Dojo simply as a communication device. The beauty about that one is that teachers can type in English and parents can set their language preference. So if they want to read everything in Portuguese, the teacher types in English, the parent reads in Portuguese. Then the parent can type in Portuguese and the school can read it in English. So it really facilitates communication. And I think these days, parents are getting much more comfortable with things like Zoom and Google Classroom. So it'll be interesting to see if schools use that as a communication device in the future.
That's a great example. I can also recall a school that wanted to increase their way of supporting parents and their ability to support their kids' schoolwork at home. One such example was when the new math curriculum was rolled out across schools and districts. I know that parents felt a little challenged in their ability to help kids through their schoolwork because it was just such a different way of learning for them. So the educators at that school and then ultimately across the district made a point to set up parent workshops that provided families with a chance to see what the new math included, have examples of the visuals that they were providing in the classrooms, and walk parents through the process of how to support their child through that new experience. It proved really helpful, and those that couldn't make the workshops if they were in the evening or in the afternoons and they just weren't available, were sent home samples of how to access that information as well.
That sounds great. That would have really helped me and my daughter avoid lots of fights, because without the textbook or examples, it's really hard to support that new way of doing things at schools. One other
Right.
thing I can think of as well is PBIS at school sets clear expectations and routines and boundaries for students that can really be effective when brought over to the home side. So lots of times schools will send home blank matrices with their school expectations on it. And then families can fill in the locations or the routines for their home life, like getting up for school, doing homework, having mealtime or bedtime, and say what that looks like in their house to be safe, respectful, responsible, or whatever the school expectations are during those routines. And it creates that common language between school and home that can really support kids, especially our kiddos that need more support. So we'd like you to examine your school family practices now as an activity with your team. If you've already completed the school family practices survey, great, you can look at your results. Otherwise, you can pause this video now and click on the tiny URL we've included here, enter that in and complete the survey. Again, remember to enter your email address. So once you're done with that and you get your results emailed to you, choose 2 or 3 items to add to your action plan for the upcoming year based on your priorities. Also, when you're completing it, consider the last 2 optional questions. These questions will ask if you'd be willing to share your action planning with the author of the survey. He's looking for schools that have shown student benefits as a result of action planning from the survey. So we encourage your participation and thank you in advance for that. If you have any further questions, please see NEPBIS, pbis.org. Contact your local technical assistant provider. Thanks.